A young boy saves 3 lives thanks to a dream. An agent hired by the CIA spies on the Soviet Navy without leaving his armchair. A woman claims to diagnose illness from a photo received in the mail. Is it all in their heads? Or can some people see things with their mind's eye? The Quest explores the shadowy frontiers of psychic science. Most of us have 5 senses: seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting. But a growing body of evidence says many people, perhaps all people, have a 6th sense. In the fall of 1985, a woman had a vivid dream about her husband. It seemed as real as life. But it was only a nightmare. She shrugged it off and forgot about it, almost. Two weeks later, a friend asked her husband to go on a hunting trip. It was a strange coincidence. Her husband hardly ever hunted. She pleaded with him not to go, but she was too embarrassed to tell him why. We're told that no one can predict the future. Yet sometimes we catch a glimpse of things to come, though we may not know it at the time. It may be some trivial event, or maybe a matter of life and death. The hunter died exactly as his wife had dreamed. Visions of things to come are as old as civilization. For thousands of years, so-called primitive cultures have seen dreams as a map to tomorrow. Most scientists disagree. To them, that extra sense is nonsense. Extrasensory perception is just another way for tabloids to make some extra dollars. At $3.99 a minute, being a TV prophet can be profitable indeed.
Call Madame Zolga and talk to only the best certified psychics. When all you see are questions, Madame Zolga sees answers.
Polls show a majority of the public believes in ESP, at least in theory.
Be careful!
For thousands, the theory has turned into fact. Even some scientists believe there's more to ESP than meets the eye. Dr. William Roll is a psychic investigator from Denmark, now living in Georgia.
Up until the present, parapsychologists have been focused on proving that psychic phenomena occur. Now it's changing, and we are convinced that the phenomena are real, and the question now is, how do they happen?
From the hundreds of cases Roll has investigated, 2 types of ESP have emerged. One where people catch a glimpse of the future, the other where they view scenes of the past that they never witnessed themselves. Today, Roll is visited by Dr. Peter Nelson, a college professor who was struck by one of these strange visions.
Hi, Bill. Good to come.
Nelson's psychic experience happened on a trip to Edinburgh, Scotland. While visiting friends, he witnessed a terrible accident, a tragedy that happened 2 years earlier.
So I entered this building at this address, and as I opened the door and walked in, I had an intense feeling of a kind of a shock wave. And I saw very clearly, visually, in my mind's eye, a man in workman's overalls falling from the skylight at the top of the stairwell down through the stairwell. I knew instantly, as I saw that he had died in the bottom of the stairwell.
Yes.
And as I said, I'd never been to this building before. And it was a very clear inner eidetic image that I could see. I could see what he looked like. I could almost feel the moment of panic as he came off the scaffold.
Nelson asked if a workman had died in the stairwell. His friends told him a couple of years earlier, a painter fell to his death from the skylight. It wasn't Nelson's first vision. When he was only 8, he saw a relative's death. He's had dozens of psychic encounters ever since. From a battery of questions given to his subjects, William Roll has a theory why some people are more sensitive to ESP.
People who are psychic, or people who are more psychic than the rest of us, very often have had a stressful childhood. And the sort of heightened sensitivity seems to be because these people have their antennas out for pain, essentially.
Like many of Roll's subjects, Nelson is attuned to emotionally charged events. What he doesn't know is when his next psychic impression will strike. For others, psychic powers are an everyday affair. Joan Windsor of Williamsburg, Virginia, is not a doctor. She has no medical training. What she does have, she says, is the power of clairvoyance, the ability to picture a situation without knowing any of the facts. Windsor uses her psychic powers to diagnose illness and recommend a treatment, perhaps even a cure. She treats people 1,000 miles away simply by holding a photograph.
Well, I'm able to pick up the photograph, and I think that it has vibrations because I think everybody has a unique vibration. So if I can hold on to the photograph, I tune into that person.
Today, she holds a photograph of a woman suffering a chronic digestive disorder. After repeated tests, the woman's doctor has not diagnosed the problem. Desperate, the woman turned to Joan Windsor. All Joan has to go on is a brief letter and a snapshot.
This is an intuitive evaluation for Joyce White.
She divines a whole case history. She sees a weakening of the spinal column and pictures the cause, an ice skating accident from decades ago. The back injury is affecting the woman's digestion. Windsor suggests a change in diet and a chiropractor. She claims that 70% of her diagnoses are confirmed by doctors. In this case, her intuitive diagnosis turns out to be entirely correct. Other clients in trouble have resorted to psychics. One is the United States government. Ever since a near-death experience as a young man, Joe McMoneagle has felt psychic powers. In the 1970s, the Central Intelligence Agency harnessed these powers to spy on the Soviet Union. McMoneagle was one of more than 20 psychics employed by the CIA's Stargate program. Using psychic vision, McMoneagle diagrammed a new Russian submarine before it was even launched. He even predicted where it would appear. About 4 months later, the sub was spotted by satellite, right where he said it would be.
The way the information comes generally is in bits and pieces or fragments. It's sort of like getting parts or portions of a picture, not all simultaneously, but in bits and pieces.
In one government test, a subject drove to a secret location. McMoneagle was asked to picture the site. He drew pictures of windmills 100 miles from San Francisco, right where the subject was standing. Although McMoneagle was very successful in his assignments, critics say he was the exception. On average, the predictions made by psychics in the Stargate program were no more accurate than guessing. Undeterred by skeptics, a handful of researchers keep searching for hidden powers within the human psyche. The Rhine Institute in Durham, North Carolina, is one of the most prominent psychic research centers in the world. The institute grew out of experiments at Duke University by Dr. J.B. Rhine and his wife, Dr. Louisa E. Rhine, both now deceased. Beginning in 1930, they laid the groundwork for the field known as parapsychology, the study of powers beyond the realm of traditional psychology. To test the phenomenon of mental telepathy or mind-to-mind contact, the Rhines pioneered the use of Zener cards. While one person looked at a card, the other tried to read his mind. Of all types of psychic power, telepathy is the easiest to verify. This test is called remote viewing. As with all psychic testing, remote viewing requires two people, a sender and a receiver. The sender will view a number of photographs selected at random by computer. The sender concentrates on the images in front of her. The first is a campsite in the middle of a forest. In the next room, the receiver tries to picture what the sender is seeing.
I'd like you to look through Maggie's eyes and describe what you see.
The receiver begins to draw the first images that come to mind.
A square?
For Dr. James Broughton, director of the Rhine Institute, the issue isn't whether we each have psychic powers, it's whether we can tap them.
I think psychic ability is precisely that. It's an ability, a human ability, nothing magical about it, and it's going to be there. Whether somebody believes it or not may control how much they deploy it, very much along the way that somebody may think they just have no musical ability, and every time they pick up an instrument it kind of sounds lousy. Do they not believe in music, or do they just not have any faith in their own ability to deploy it?
I see tree trunks, that's what I'm seeing. I'm looking at tree trunks and something flat through the tree trunks.
The sender moves on to other photos. The receiver makes more drawings. At the end of the experiment, Dr. Broughton compares the drawings with the photographs to determine if the sender and receiver are in psychic sync. The results are mixed. The receiver hit the campsite photo on the mark. Other drawings aren't picture perfect.
Ooh, it's not an easy one. This trial, well, sort of in the middle, I guess. Neither a success nor a failure. Successes are good. We have quite a few direct hits, which are, real nice to have, but we learn as much from the failures, the ones that aren't quite right, because we're trying to understand the process here.
While Broughton continues to gather data, psychic researchers an ocean away try a different experiment based on a strange feeling we've all had. On a hot day in July comes a sign of a psychic event. a bead of sweat on the back of the neck, or a sudden chill down the spine. A motorist has the eerie feeling someone is watching her. Has he sent her a mental message? Or is it mere coincidence? How many other times did she feel someone was staring at her, only to find no one there?
The experiment is concerned with the remote detection of staring. So what's going to happen is we're going to monitor your physiology for around about 20 minutes. At randomly determined times, I'll be in the other room staring at an image of you on the TV monitor and trying to...
Dr. Richard Wiseman, senior lecturer at the University of Hertfordshire, England, is testing a subject's ability to know if he's being watched by an unseen eye. A machine that works like a lie detector monitors the subject's physical reactions to see whether he can sense when his image is being stared at. During the 20-minute test, Dr. Wiseman will randomly stare at the young man's image. If the young man senses he's being watched, the monitors will detect changes in his vital signs.
I think this experiment's interesting for a number of reasons. People come into it expecting it to be successful. They've had the experience of being stared at, turning around, seeing somebody looking at them. It's an everyday phenomena. And so they come in thinking that, yes, there might be something psychic going on here. And what I hope is that we actually find some strong evidence for psychic ability.
This session, like many others Wiseman has conducted, was a failure. Yet Wiseman has achieved a useful result. In the United States, remote viewing tests are more successful, but perhaps less reliable. Wiseman has shown that researchers who believe in psychic powers interpret their tests more favorably than skeptics like him. A practicing magician, Wiseman uses card tricks to prove his point. People who believe in ESP are more likely to be fooled by a card reading stunt. In the quest for proof of ESP, researchers at Scotland's University of Edinburgh are hoping to eliminate all bias from psychic tests. Within the university's graduate psychology department, Dr. Robert Morris holds an unusual seat. He chairs the parapsychology program. Though he's researching a field many view with suspicion, Morris believes the study of ESP is as credible as psychology itself.
We've been improving our techniques all along, partly because we've had access to more sophisticated procedures. The problems we have are problems shared by psychology, biology, and various other areas. So they've been developing new techniques as well. The computer has been very helpful.
The computer has a brain, but no opinions. Now, this neutral machine has begun to convince even skeptics that psychic power may be real.
What we'll do next is go ahead and put on the eye shields, and I'd like to go ahead and start on your left-hand side.
The most advanced experiment yet devised to test psychic powers begins with a halved ping-pong ball. At the University of Edinburgh, a test subject undergoes an Otto Gansfeld test to see if he can read minds.
Great.
The test takes place in a sensory deprivation chamber. Simon sees nothing. The white balls on his eyes admit light, but no images. And he hears nothing, except white noise through his earphones to block out all other sounds. Simon is the receiver. He'll try to read the mind of the sender in the next room. The sender will concentrate on a videotape image selected completely at random by computer. Simon will talk about whatever comes to mind. Rather than focus on details, he'll describe his entire field of vision, hence the name Gansfeld, German for whole field. Now, a random image begins to play on the monitor. The sender concentrates. Simon describes what he's seeing and feeling.
feeling tension in my chest, my heart rate's going up. It's kind of sensation of claustrophobia and anxiety, kind of almost fear, but not quite. Image of space, people floating in space, sensation of water.
Okay, Simon, what we're going to do now is do the judging sequence. On the screen in front of you will come up your 4 possible choices.
Finally, Simon looks at a series of images. He selects any that relate to what he pictured while in the Otto Gansfeld chamber.
Okay, so you saw Simon's ratings, and so what he picked as his first choice. So tell us, what was the target?
Sea diving!
Hooray! Good job, Simon.
His selection is a direct hit. So far, more than half the tests have been right on target, far more than sheer luck would allow. The Otto Gansfeld hasn't proven ESP exists, but it's given skeptics something to think about. The most remarkable examples of psychic power, however, happen right at home. In the summer of 1993, an 11-year-old boy from California named Pari Gamboa had a dream. He was walking with his grandmother, his brother, and his baby sister. In the dream was a strange woman he'd never seen before. Then a van appeared, racing out of control. The woman tried to stop it. Pari watched helplessly, unable to move. A few weeks later, Pari did go for a walk with his grandmother, his brother, and his sister. This time, the mystery woman was real, standing in the very spot where she had fired a pistol, alerting him to danger. Pari knew what was about to happen. Pari has since had many dreams that came true, but the dream he remembers most is the one that saved 3 lives.
Everything that happened that moment, because I remembered the dream, because it just looked the same and I knew that one thing would happen. When it happens, just triggers something in my head. I go, oh, I've seen this before. I've been and done this before. And that's how I know.
Did Pari foresee the future? Or was he merely worried about an everyday danger? In either case, tragedy was averted by an alert young boy. Sometimes we see the future without knowing it, until it's too late. Does the future exist today, just as traces of the past linger invisibly around us? And if we can foresee the future, can we change it? 2 centuries ago, we had only the vaguest idea how our own bodies work. Perhaps only time will cure our ignorance of psychic powers. The people of ancient lands believed they could see beyond the senses, but they lived in simpler times. Perhaps it was easier then to wipe the mind clean, to picture the thoughts in another person's head, or to hear the voice of the future.